Got a question recently. I have an old 401k with a previous company. Am I doing damage to myself by leaving it there? I've got 3 things you need to consider. That and more coming up. My name's Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. I do a live radio interview once a week, and recently on that live radio interview, had someone say, hey, I've got an old 401k from a previous company a couple decades ago. Am I doing damage to myself financially by leaving it there? I see the statement every quarter. Am I doing financial harm by leaving it there? And so here's the thing, guys. When we are helping people with their 401k, and as we're helping businesses and as their 401k provider, we tell people that there are 6 key decisions you need to make, and everyone needs to make when they have a 401k. If you're a fan of the Wise Money Show, you might recognize that it used to be 5. We've added a 6th, and we added the 6th well before I got this question, by the way. So what are those 5 decisions? First is, how much are you going to contribute? Obviously, what percentage? You're going to do 10%, 15%? You're going to do less than that, more than that? We recommend starting at 15%, but to each their own, right? Do as much as you can and do as much as you need to. So make sure you're working with your CFP, knowing how much you need to contribute. That's question 1. Question 2, you're going to contribute pre-tax or Roth. This is the quintessential financial planning decision. It's not just, well, which one do I feel like? And it's not just, well, what tax bracket am I in today? You got to start there, but there's more planning involved. You got to see which is best, pre-tax or Roth. That's the second choice. Third choice is what most people think of, first, and that is, what am I going to invest in? Having the right investment strategy. By the way, this same individual on the live radio interview asked me that as well. Hey, I have no idea what I'm invested in. None of it makes sense. Am I doing something wrong? And so having a strategy, knowing among your choices, limited choices within your 401k, what's the right recipe? What should you be investing in, and stick with that? That's the third choice. Fourth, once you have that recipe, that mix, what's your rebalance schedule? Listen, if you have a recipe, X amount in large cap, X in small, X international, and so on, those aren't all going to grow or behave the same way. They're not going to grow at the same level and stay proportionate. At times, they're going to be a little top heavy or get a little out of balance, and you need to have an automatic system for rebalancing. Why? I mean, it sounds kind of simple. Is it really that important? That's the mechanism that allows you to sell high and buy low. The area that has done well cyclically is going to, instead of being 20%, is going to be 24%. And an area that is a good area to invest in, but it hasn't performed as well recently, instead of being 20, is now going to be 18. The rebalance is going to allow you to trim off some of the gains from that good area and replenish an area that has recently underperformed. Selling high, buying low. That's your 4th decision, your rebalance schedule. And then your 5th one is, who's the beneficiary of your 401k? Who will receive these dollars if something unfortunately happens to you? Those are the 5. Now the 6th decision is, what do you do with your old retirement plan? What do you do with your old retirement plan? This wasn't in our initial 5 questions that we've had as we sort of have had our 401k business. But we have gotten that question so frequently, so consistently from participants, from employees as we'd meet, that we added it. And that, yeah, most people have this question. Everyone has the top 5, but if you've worked somewhere else, then you're going to have that 6th as well. So going back to the question that I was asked on the radio, am I doing damage to myself by leaving this old 401k there? And I said, potentially. And here's why. There's three reasons. One is, your most important financial decision that you're going to make in your life is your asset allocation, that recipe. What are you going to invest in? How connected, how in tune are you with how that old 401k is invested? Is it potentially out of touch? Have you, in this instance, he said, I worked there a couple decades ago. Well, what was your risk tolerance back then, and is it still the same right now? What do you know about your finances today that you didn't know back then, that didn't influence your investment decisions? Recently, in one of these conversations where we were helping a new employee at one of the firms that we serve, businesses we serve, get started in their 401k, found out that a financial advisor, very well-known firm, let's just say that, had this person who was in their early 20s investing in an individual account, not a Roth, and in a bond investment. They're in their early 20s. They're not going to touch this money. This person said, this is for retirement. Here's one of my other retirement funds. It wasn't a retirement account getting a tax benefit, and it wasn't invested for the long term. It was invested low risk. So guys, is it possible that old 401k has an investment mix that's out of touch with where you are today and out of sync with how the rest of your portfolio is aligned? Likely, because it's considered an old 401k, likely it is. Plus, an old 401k, you're going to have limited investment choices. And so yeah, the investment mix, ensuring that the old 401k has an appropriate investment risk, that's one reason where it might be doing damage to you by having it in an old 401k. Second consideration to determine, okay, is this old 401k doing damage, are the beneficiaries accurate? Who are the beneficiaries of your 401k, your old 401k? Recently was talking to an individual, similar situation, and we were kind of reviewing this old account, and the beneficiary is his brother. He's been married for 10 years. This guy's been married for 10 years, and the beneficiary on this old retirement account was his brother, because he wasn't married back when he started this thing, and a few years after that shifted jobs, and it sort of was just like, I've got this money over here. What would have happened if he passed away? And so even if you say, nope, it's got the right beneficiary over here and matches over here, and I've done the extra work, the double work to ensure that it's accurate, when you pass away, will anyone else know about that other account? Will they even know to reach out to that old 401k to say, hey, this person passed away? In all their grieving and all their stress, will they even have the wherewithal to know about that other account and reach out to them? So that's the second consideration or risk or an issue that I mentioned about, well, your old 401k, having an old 401k could be doing you damage. And then the third one, in this individual's question, he said, yeah, I get the statement every quarter. Well, what if you move? What if you move? And you might say, well, no, because it's on my radar, I will reach out to them and update the address. Okay, so what if the 401k company changes? This happens all the time. That business that you used to work for, they had a local institution helping them with their 401k. And then they got bigger and they went to a slightly bigger organization. And then they got bigger and now the 401k is at Vanguard, or now the 401k is at Fidelity. And they have lost touch with you and you've lost touch with them and have no way of knowing how to access the dollars. Guys, our CFPs see this all the time. When we're starting new relationships, folks come in and we're talking about their financial goals, their financial situation. Oftentimes people I've got an old retirement account here. And as we talk through strategy and over the course of a few meetings, and they decide, yep, here's what we're going to do with it. We then help them. We get on a phone call with them with their old 401k and begin the transition process. And I can't tell you how many times we reach out and do that phone call and the company says, oh, we don't have a 401k with that individual anymore. And we have to do some scavenger hunt and looking around to say, oh, it went from here to here to here. Okay, I guess we'll call them. You don't want to lose track of these dollars. Obviously, they're from a long time ago. They've been growing for you. Don't want to lose track and misplace assets. So, having an old 401k and leaving it there, is it damaging to you financially? It possibly could be. Guys, I would simplify and I would roll that over to an IRA with your CFP. I would consider maybe adding it to your 401k if that's best. Oftentimes it's better to move it into an IRA or to a Roth IRA. Work with your certified financial planner. They're a fiduciary. They're looking at all 6 areas of your financial life because they're doing financial planning. You've hired them to do that. And they have your best interests at heart and going to give you advice that's based on your best interest as a fiduciary. So work with them, and I would address this old retirement account, and I'd avoid those pitfalls and those issues that I mentioned and clean that up. Work with your CFP on that. If you don't have a CFP on your team, you can contact one on my team. Find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with K, wisemoneyshow.com. You can find us there as well, or send us an email, info@korhorn.com. All right, there you have it. Go on and take your next wise step in your financial life.